Okay, I think we're about ready here. Greetings, mages. This time once again for some map making. Oh, there we go. Pop that map on in there. Greetings, everyone. I'm Cynlan, for those new here. I make maps, battle maps for TTRPGs. Started doing them for my own campaigns and then branched out to offer them to others who needed battle maps for various occasions. And today, our map du jour. What in the world is going on with this music? Where was I? The map du jour is, we're doing a little mountain pass today. The last map that I did to kick off my return to streaming was a Archmage Tower that I think I bit off more than I can chew, making it quite so big. But we persevered. It is now available on my store, which is probably linked in the description, or kind of linked. Like, I know the text is in there. I think YouTube does this weird thing where, like, it makes you jump through a bunch of hoops to just to be able to put links in a description thing. So it's not clickable, but if you copy paste it, I assure you, it will bring you to my store, where you can find that Archmage Tower map, as well as many others that I put up over the past... How long have I been doing this? 2 months now? Wow. There's a bunch of maps up there. Some lovely maps. Indoors and outdoors, gridded, ungridded. And if you do use them, let me know. I'd like to hear about my creations out in the world, and the various encounters that happen on them. But today's map, we're doing a mountain pass. As you can see, this is a snowy mountain pass. We're gonna keep to, I think, one terrain for this one. I do some maps where, you know, there's like different terrains. Sometimes it's a field, sometimes it's a desert. Sometimes there's flowers, sometimes there's not. This one I think we're gonna keep to the snowy mountain pass. And I think the variant here, as I do with all of my map packs, I usually bundle them with like 3 to a pack, different variations. Sometimes it's day or night, sometimes it's different terrain. Sometimes it's increasing levels of peril to the map. A good example off the top of my head, it would be my Arcane Generator map, where each map gets progressively more perilous with the failing of the arcane artifice and such around it. For this one, I think what we're gonna do for this map is we're gonna bridge this gap from one end to the other. We are going to start with a relatively safe bridge to get from one end to the other. And I think the other two variations on that map will be increasingly less safe bridging of this gap. We'll see how that goes. We'll start out here with... I'm not going to do a whole lot with the terrain at the moment. I actually have plans for this terrain that I'm going to do in my image editing software. Once the maps are done, I usually put them in like some image editing program to do like a little touch-ups, you know, maybe adjust some colors, add some new elements that don't exist within the Dungeon Draft program that you see on screen here. Just to, you know, add a little things that aren't really reflected within the map program itself, and part of that is sometimes I like to do some terrain tweaks. to kind of, elevate the maps a little bit, give a sense of depth and dimension, height difference, that sort of thing. So all those tweaks to terrain to adjust, height and such like that, I will do later. Right now, we're just gonna focus on the map elements itself, which we're gonna start with a fairly easy bridge to kind of bring us across the area here, and let's take a look at our different bridge elements. This is such hopeful music for going into finding bridge elements. Let's see, we'll take a look at objects first. If there's nothing that I find that's pre-made that I can kind of, layer and use as assets to build off of, then we'll just go straight for I think there's some other stuff that I can do with some flooring and such to simulate some bridge action. But let's see what we've got to work off of here. We're gonna start. I do have a pack from 2 Minute Tabletop. There's this Banshee bridge. I don't think it's gonna be quite big enough to bridge our gap here, and that looks to be true. It's possible I might be able to layer this a little bit. There's also a very broken bridge. Let's start with something that's a little less fraught with peril to start things off. We could do something like this. We could do a little layering here. Actually, well, let's try this first and then we'll explore some other options and such. So if I was gonna use this element... Hello, Lear. Good evening. Welcome in. You're just in time for some object experimentation as we're building today's map, which is this mountain pass, this bridge over this mountain terrain gap here. But it's good to see you, as always. How's your evening going? On this fine Saturday? It is Saturday, right? My sense of time has become increasingly more fraught through the pandemic and beyond. It is now 2025 and I'm still like, yeah, 2020 was just like, what, a couple years ago? Going well, you get a Sunday off tomorrow. Very nice. We love that time off. This might actually be a little wider than I want for this pass. This is a pretty sizable bridge that you would like, if you had traffic going both ways, if it was like a busy roadway, that's this kind of bridge here, and I don't see a mountain pass, at least not like what we've got set up here, as being too like not a whole lot of traffic, you know what I mean? Especially with it being kind of snowy up in the mountains. We're not really looking for like the bridge over water map that I did. You could use a bridge like this because, ideally you would be moving wagons and horses and such across a bridge like that, trying to get from one place to another. This is more of a road less traveled kind of situation that I'm envisioning here. So maybe nothing quite like that. How about we look look at, not the tags, let's go to all. Let's maybe get that. Bridge is just going to be there. Anyways, okay, so what I want to do is look at some of these other elements here. We've got tables, we've got all that kind of stuff. There we go. Here's some of our bridginess. And what we could do, okay, that looks like that. That's very narrow. We could at least go for like a 2 square, 10 feet across kind of bridge here. That looks like that could work. Construct a bridge across here, and then maybe we break it a little bit as we're going across. Ooh, they do have some nice broken bridge elements here. These are kind of clean pieces though. I don't know if they would really fit with this sort of like cobblestone sort of approach here. Oh, that's a very narrow bridge. Let's see. Do I want to go with this to start? Either your bridge or road is to the wrong scale. Yeah, like I'm envisioning, like this is very narrow, and I think I wanted something like a little bigger than this. This is like something a little safer to traverse than what this would present. This is closer. That's just like a 5 foot across sort of bridge there, going from one side to the other. But I think to start things off, we'll play it a little safe. Let's see how this looks like just bringing these elements across here. They're just adding some pieces, bringing that across from one side to the other. Oop. So that looks decent. That certainly gets the job done, bridging from one side to the other. It has a kind of worn look. If we zoom in on it a little bit, I said if we zoom in on that, nope, that's the wrong way. There we go. So let's look at some of these pieces here. I think the shadow effect we can get rid of, because that's creating some seams in between these various pieces, and we kind of want to make this look like one whole element, not like a bunch of pieces together. So we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna get rid of the shadow, and then we're gonna just do a little bridge here. Let's see how that plays. Oh, that's much smoother. Look at that. Very nice. So we're moving across, although it's looking a little too uniform, so I think if we do this sort of thing where we just swap it around a little back and forth, that'll add a little more variety, so it's not looking quite so samey. You know what I mean? We don't want it to look too copy-paste, but we kind of just want a little variety in there. Okay, so that looks better. It definitely looks a little better. It's not quite so copy-paste going from one side to the other, but I think we can also do a little better than that. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take it to these elements. So what I can do is, as I'm going, we can mirror So we get like a little more variety as we're going across here. Yeah. There we go. Now it doesn't look quite so uniform. It's a little more variety in there. Bring this back out to 100% just to kind of see what it looks like. Normal view. Yeah, that looks a little better, I think. So we've got that. What I want to add in here next, I think, are some pillars to support the structure of our bridge as it spans this gap. Any good bridge, if it is not purely a magical construct, will have some way of supporting its structure so it doesn't just collapse on you as you're making your way across. And I have a selection of various pillars in here. Let's see, what do we want to go with here? What's going to look good? Do we want to go purely circular, keep it simple? We could certainly do that, and that'll help to like tighten up on either end here as we're looking down from above. We could do like pillar here, and then of course on the opposite side, pillar. Now we kind of want to, knowing that we're working with like essentially 2x2 chunks of this bridge, and kind of plot out a distance between them that makes sense. So there's some decent distance between the pieces. Now we're not entirely 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Yeah. So that's... Do I want these pillars? Do I want a set in the middle here that will shorten up the section from the 4 that we have in these two to 3? Or do I want to leave that as is? How do I want to play this out? Let's see how it looks with these here. Looking kind of tight in the middle there. Not by a lot. But it definitely... There's more going on in this block here than, say, here or in here. But if we get rid of those... Get rid of those, and then we kind of move these in a little bit. So we've got block of 4, block of 5, block of 4. If we move these back, That could be decent. Just looking at our cliffs here. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's a little haphazard, and I think that's okay. I think that's gonna be okay for a mountain pass, knowing that the sections closer to the walls of this gap that it's bridging. Yeah, I think that is going to be okay. Because you don't want things to be too perfect. You want it to look kind of natural and like, yes, this is reasonable sound bridge design. There's no way to get it entirely perfect too. I only have so many assets to work with. But we want to get the idea across that these pillars stretch down, embedding into the walls here and into the floor of the pass far below. I'm going to leave that as is for now, I think. And we're gonna put some lighting, I think, on this bridge. We'll save that. You have arrived! Excellent! And because I've remembered, now that you have arrived... I think that worked. Yay! Congratulations, new mod. Okay, so now that the look at that wrench by your name, beautiful. Now that I've done the stream management portion of tonight's stream, do we have some snowdrifts? We absolutely do. I think snowdrifts and some torches or some braziers or something to decorate the tops of these pillars here might be in order. So let's take a look at our offerings again here. What do we do first? We'll do our braziers first, and actually I think if we go back to these, this will provide us a little bit of lighting for, yeah, that's perfect. Oh, look at that. It's as though they were made to go together. We can do, yeah, so we do that on this side, and then we do a little mirror action for the other side. And then for down here, do some more mirror action. Oop. Yeah. Hang on. What? There we go. Perfect. Fantastic. Look at that. So nice. Okay, so we'll do a quick save there. And then we'll go back here and we'll find our snowdrifts. Assets that I came across when I was doing some snowy maps for the hometown of my Eldritch Knight, Alex, who grew up in sort of a snowy area. Did I pass it? I did not pass it. Okay. Many assets. But yeah, I was working on some maps from his hometown. It was very snowy there. Here we go. Now we've got some snow. Fantastic. And I did variations where there was summertime maps and snowtime maps, and the snowy maps made a lot of use of these assets right here. Such dramatic music for snow, but you know, you work with what you got. So we're just gonna alternate, I think, between these various assets. We're gonna take it off snap so we can get a little more natural with this. We'll zoom in a little, maybe a little more, just so we can get a good feel for what we're working with here. Yeah. So we can do a little, I don't want to get too close to that wall, but kind of like, you know, a little snowy build up along the edges here, just to kind of, and actually maybe not so close to the heated braziers, so that we can have areas where snow will naturally accumulate. We'll start with a little variety here, and then we'll go back in and we'll flip some around and that sort of thing. We've got a nice big patch here that we can do. And we've got another gap in here. We can do a little... How big is that? Ooh, that's pretty big. Actually, we'll make the really big one in this segment here. Flip that around. That's a nice 6-block segment instead of 4 blocks. More snow might gather in that part. I feel like that seems like a fairly correct and accurate thing to do. Let's see, we're also gonna... Okay, so we did that one there, that one there. Right, we're gonna put this one... No, that is the same one. Oh, there we go. That'll work. Flip that around, put that in there. And then maybe do another, that's maybe a little too big. We'll do this, we'll flip that around. Stick that in there. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so one side done. Let's, it's a nice big chunk here. Actually kind of flip that a little bit. And kind of put that in the middle. I'm also going to maybe mute Discord for just a little bit. There we go. I don't know if those beats were being picked up on the stream or not, but now we can focus on this strange music track that I'm going through. I haven't gone through this entire playlist because it is 3 hours long, and who has time to listen to all that in one sitting without, you know, streaming. Actually, how long is it? I think it was 3 hours long. No, it's not 3 hours long. This playlist is 25 hours long. Full of interesting music, though. It's pretty cool. Okay, yes. So, back to our snow here. We'll put maybe a little something there. And in between. Access patch. We already did that patch. Let's, yeah. Patch there. And maybe a little. What are we thinking here? I used that one over there, so I can flip that around over here. I think that'll work there. Now we'll fill in some of the gaps with some of these smaller pieces here, just to kind of fill out the area a little more. That's very small. It's a little more sizable. There we go. Just kind of fill in some of those spaces in between the braziers where heat will be generating from, just to kind of get a little extra in here. Oop, that's a little too on the wall. That works out. Yeah. We'll do a quick save. Maybe work in some other elements here. Flip that around. Nestle that in there. Yeah, that looks like it'll work there. A little extra drops of snow. Let's kind of add a little extra flavor there. Leaving the middle mostly bare, since that's where our foot traffic is going to be, and it will attract snow away from those areas. But not too bad. Not too bad at all. Let's zoom out to get the wider view of this. It's a fairly decent bridge, I think. Is there anything else I want to add to this? I don't think so, but chat, if you have any suggestions, feel free to contribute ideas. Part of the whole reason of streaming my map creation is not just to kind of like, you know, lift the veil on my process and you know, show folks how these maps come together, but also to invite discussions, suggestions, questions, anything that you might have about the map making process or a specific map that is being worked upon. But I think, all in all, I'm gonna save that. Now, one thing that I think I wanted... Well, I suppose that looks good. I suppose I could also pull that back a little bit so that we can get the full view of the map from one side to the other. We've got our braziers, we've got our little pieces of snow occupying the places in between the braziers. That looks pretty good, honestly. That is a good, easy, kind of, you know, easily traversable bridge that if you saw that you wouldn't think twice about crossing from one side to the other. Let's get a little more perilous with the next one. Testing something. What are you testing? Okay, so now that we've got that, what we're gonna do is we're going to, I think, make a wooden bridge instead of a stone one. That feels a little more perilous in a snowy mountain pass. Can still chat while broadcasting to my Xbox from my phone. Ooh, fancy. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna, oh, I'm on the wrong window for that. We're gonna, oop, nope, I don't want to get rid of all of that, but I do want to clear some space here. Not all of my assets, please, just the bridge ones, just to kind of make some room, Come on. Grab that, and that. Get rid of our snow here. And take care of this side. Get rid of these little guys. Thank you for your service on that map. And then 3, 2, 1, and gone. Alright, and now we're going to save this one as Mountain Pass Medium. So we did the easy pass. This one's going to be a little more difficult. And we're going to go back into our bridge assets. Once again, we're going to look at... Let's look at some of these wood bridge ones. How wide are some of these? These look to be the standard 5-foot distance. That one's very narrow indeed. But maybe that's good, because we did do originally this 10-foot one here, the you know, 2 blocks across width here. Maybe we do want this one to be a little narrower, a little more of the kind of bridge that would give you pause before you step across it. So maybe something like this, where let's actually get a little snap in here. Put that there. Yeah, so it looks like it's traversable, but maybe something that so I know I would certainly think twice before crossing a rickety bridge. Crossing? I don't even know what that was. Sometimes my tongue just goes places, which also is not maybe a thing that I should have put voice to, but there it is. Alright, so we're gonna mirror as we're going across. Do a little flippity flip. Mirror. Get some variety in those pieces. Is there an asset that's a bit wider than that one so it lines up with the road better? Let's see. That one is way narrower. Oh, we do have this piece. With a post, not with post. I think not with post is the way to go so that I can add my own toward the end. Yeah, that looks a little wider, I think. How did I have this before? Okay. So what we'll do what about 2 below that one? This one here, that says small bridge. Yeah, that's not gonna be much wider than what I was using before. It's a good idea though. Let's see, we've got this, that. We're just flipping and mirroring as we go. Creating some varied bridge terrain as we're moving from one side to the other. And I think that will bring us to a complete bridge. Yeah. Now from here, I think we're gonna do something similar to what we had before. But instead of these stone pillars, we're going to use some of these wooden ones. That is comparable to what we used before. I think that's a very sturdy post, which means we're not going to use that one. We're going to use something that looks maybe a little smaller. Ooh, there we go. That's a little smaller. Could go even smaller with this one, I think, and that would be just fine. Yeah. I look at that and I go, you know, maybe those support pillars could be a little thicker and a little more supportive. Again, you know, meant to give one pause before traversing the wooden bridge. We can do a similar thing with this one where we space it out by like 4s. Have you got ropes you can string across? Yes, indeed I do. Keep that in mind. I will get to those right after we do these pillars. And I think for this one, keeping to the same thing that we had before where we were grouped off by like 4 squares for these and then 6 squares in between these 2 pillars, I think makes for a more concerning gap here than it was on the stone bridge. I like that. Now for rope that we can string across, are you thinking from like pillar to pillar as a sort of like rope handhold sort of thing? Is that what you had in mind, Lear? Because I could certainly do something with our path tool here. With this, I can form a sort of rope path from one side to the other, although that's kind of getting hidden under my assets. We want something over, so we'll move to a new layer so that there we go. Now we can go over. That's how people treat support lines anyway. Yeah, that's true. Very true. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll kind of create anchor point on the ground before going across the pillars here and just kind of establishing the path real quick to the other side here. And then do the same going from that side across. Oh, that's going to end up in the middle of my road. But maybe that's fine. Maybe I can change the road to account for that. In fact, yeah, let's I mean, I have a different terrain layer that I'm going to mess around with anyways, but just to kind of get an idea for when I finalize that for the finished map, if we're on terrain and just kind of push the snow in more there and the gravel more in here, that'll account for our rope there. And then do a little spot here so that the snow kind of gets in between the stonework there. Okay, so with those ropes in place, we can now simulate them being wrapped around the posts by bringing the posts up to layer 2, as so. So that if I zoom in here, you can see rope goes in to post and continues along the other side, giving a sense of the post being higher than the rope to steady the bridge itself. I think that'll work. What do you think? Just go by here, bring those all up. Bringing my posts up to layer 2. There we go. And with this last one, there. Oh, and now to anchor our rope from one side to the other, we can do little pegs like this. We'll also put on layer 2, just to kind of stake those rope ends down. Fantastic. Look at that. That's a darn fine wooden bridge. And if I get rid of this so that we can see it more fully, yeah, I like that. Very good. It's still a full bridge from one side to the other. We should add some lamps to that, to some of these posts, right? Just to kind of give a little, bring a little light into the situation. And I think what we're gonna do, where's my lamps? Oh, there's my lamps. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use these square ones. Those will fit on top of those posts pretty nicely. But as opposed to our braziers, which we had, you know, paired as they went across the bridge, we're gonna alternate them so that the lighting's a little spotty as it's going across. Welcome in, Chris. Good to see you. Happy to see you in the stream. Welcome to our mountain pass. This is the second of the bridges that I've constructed tonight. You missed the initial bridge, which was more of a solid stone bridge between our two parts of the path here over this gap. And now we're getting increasingly more perilous in our mountain pass crossings. So, like I said, we're gonna do a little alternating lantern action as opposed to the safer, you know, pairing lanterns on each pillar going across, just to kind of give that vibe of like this bridge being a little sketchier than the other one. That's okay, would burn better. Well, yeah, you know, all it takes is one torch. Or, you know, a sharp enough blade to cut these ropes. This is actually a pretty darn good bridge. I like it. We've got our stakes on either side. We've got our pillars. We've got some lighting. Should I put any snow on this bridge? I feel like I should. But maybe, I don't know. How are we feeling about the snow on the bridge, chat? We could do some parts like away from the lantern, so, you know, some on this side, maybe some over here around this post, etc., going across. But also with it being slats of wood instead of whole stones, maybe snow would be less inclined to gather there, but snow on ground, the snow on bridge. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but like snow on the Walkable surface of the bridge, you mean? Yes. Of which we have many different options. Where did... Nope, down the other way. There we go. There's our snowdrift assets. So something like... we could actually do some of these elements that are more like across the bridge as opposed to just being against the walls of, just to kind of get in between these lanterns, which enclosed lanterns, not going to give off quite as much ambient heat as open braziers. Oop, as I just knock into my microphone. Sorry about that. But that actually might not be bad. Let's see. If we do something like that across. Because it looks kind of like the snow is sitting on the planks of the bridge itself and are kind of slipping in between some of those planks from how it looks. That could be good. That could be good texturing. What do we think about that, chat? And then for here, oop, that's too big. We could do... that's too small. Yeah, some thicker elements like this for this section that has a wider gap between the two lanterns. Looks good? Yeah. Yeah. Do that there. Not like that. Like that. And then maybe... where's that one big one? Am I hallucinating? Is there not a big one? I thought there was. Much bigger. That's not bigger. Actually, we're going to take this off snap so that I can do a little more placement of elements. Can I scale element size? I can. So I guess technically I could make some of these bigger. So like this chunk here, if we change the scaling, even just a little bit, it doesn't have to be huge, just like a 0.5, that'll still give us a bigger batch of snow to work with. Actually, we could do with some of these smaller elements, that'll look, I think, a little better. And then we could do a little something there in the middle. Maybe get another little blob of something there. Little blob of something there. That looks like some good weight in the middle of that barely supported bridge. I like that. We'll do a quick save. And then we'll work some pieces. Oh, gonna bring this down to normal scale again. For some of these assets around these pillars here on the opposite side of the lanterns and such. Just to kind of get a little more variety in there. also we don't want to completely duplicate what we just did there with this one, so... Sometimes it's just creative placement and rearranging of certain things, just to kind of get some good mirror effects going. Pair some things together with some nice groupings, you know? Ooh, actually, oh, I just thought of something. We could actually get some decent snowdrift in if I go to Natural Walls and Cliffs. I think that's the one. And if we go to... we find some... like... overgrown grass elements? Where would those be? Got a bunch of cliff stuff. Oh, grassy ledge. There we go. So if we take grassy ledge and then we take the color from our snow assets here. Look at that. Instant snowdrift. It's pretty big. Do I have a smaller one? No, of course not. Why would they give me a smaller one? But that's fine, because I can go in here and I can make it smaller. There we go. Just to kind of... we do a little under. It's not going underneath the rope though, unless I go back to layer 1 and put it there. Interesting. I don't know if I like it. Definitely an option, but I don't know if it's working for me exactly. You know? Too different from the other drifts. That's what I was thinking. Like, it's a neat idea, I think. I'm glad I had it, but it's not quite gelling with me. Maybe for a different map, but not for this one. Nevertheless, we're gonna save. We're gonna... what do we think? More... oh, yeah, we need more snow. We need... more snow around some of these other pillars here. We'll, up the scale again. Go. Now let's get some snowdrifts over on this side. We'll do... oh, maybe not quite that much. No, maybe not quite that much. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I feel like the that's a little too large for what I want. It's a little more manageable size. Yeah. We'll put some snow around this one. Stack a little extra around some of these. Right there. Yeah, okay. And maybe some, yeah, right here, just to kind of get that little overlap going. Cool, cool. All right. And then we'll save. We'll bring this back out to 100. We'll remove these panels so that we can get the full effect. I'm really liking that. Some nice layering in here. It's got some good snow periodically, kind of, you know, give a little crossing challenge, maybe a little, you know, deck saves hitting patches of snow and ice. Yeah, I like that. So we're gonna save this one, and for our next one, we are going to get yet more perilous with our map work, with our bridge. We're gonna save, and this one will be the much harder crossing. We're gonna, again, wrong section to select some of these things, to get some of those elements there. I had the inclination that maybe I want to get rid of the rope, but maybe we keep it just to kind of have an idea of what we're bridging and where. Just for the time being. Pillars and lamps can go away though, because I don't think this next bridge is going to be quite so supported. Get our snow off of this one. Come on. There we go. Alright, so we've got our rope. So we have an idea of the space here. I think this one is going to be the one that is a little narrower. Because we did like a good 10-foot across stone and wood bridge. I think this one is going to be a single file sort of situation with our bridge, and I think we're gonna keep with wood And we're gonna make things really tricky. This is a nice wooden bridge. It is very perilous with its 5-foot width. It's only 1 square across. This is definitely going to give us something interesting to work with here, I think. And I think there's actually going to be some gaps in between these various pieces here. Truly the most perilous crossing. Having to navigate these broken boards, ill-placed together. Go. Maybe overlap a few so the gaps aren't so regular. I could maybe do that. Let's see here. Yeah, I think what I want to do kind of close that in a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then maybe do here and here, and then throw in another segment. Actually, we'll take this off snap, just to kind of get a little more natural distance there. We'll bring it back on to make another little gap here. Snap so that we can kind of straddle off that line a little bit. Yeah. So we've got that section there, and I think the middle section will be a good place to leave that a little more open, I think. Beautiful. Magnificent. We're also gonna bring our rope in. Go back to the path tool and we'll edit the path point. Oop. Let's bring it back to snap just so we have a little regularity with this. And we can bring that there. Oop. This one here. Bring this one down here. This one up here. This bridge is making me anxious, and I'm not even on it. Cool. Awesome. Now, if we really want to mess with like some variation here, what I can do is take this off snap, and while we're editing the rope points, let's get a feel for distance here and bring in the rope a little bit so that there's a little bit of a curve to it. It kind of comes in with some of these boards. Give a little more illusion that this rope is like coming in, bound by these boards to support it. We're also going to bring, I think, this section in a little bit. Yeah. Not a lot, but just enough. So there's like a very noticeable narrowing toward the center here. And if we, once again, get rid of these panels so we get the full effect. Oh, we also need the posts. Hang on. Gotta nail those down. Go back to our layer 2. Nail that section down. And then this side. Fantastic. Oh, that looks so good. And without the support struts, it looks like it is literally just nailed down to either side with these stakes and just left to swing in the breeze. Okay, so we're gonna save real quick. Is there anything I want to add? There is, in fact. Just to kind of add on to the idea that these boards are truly missing, broken, resting at the bottom of this ravine. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this from 1.25 down to 0.5, and we're gonna take some of these wood pillars that look like they could be pieces of wood, and we're gonna put them kind of down. We're gonna scatter them a little bit, make it like a little haphazard as they were taken by the wind down to the bottom of, that's too small. If we do something like that, maybe another one got taken over on this side, down a wee bit, so that the boards actually are resting at the bottom of this pass. Give a little feel that if you're not careful as you're crossing, you might just join them. Put that one down there. I'm specifically avoiding the full middle of this gap because my plan is to do a separate terrain layer, which will essentially be like this snowy side of this pass, this snowy side of this pass, and then everything here at the bottom of this gap as its own element that I'll put into an image editor layered underneath this one, which is pretty easily done. we can go into here and just disable terrain, and as you can see, it gives me an alpha layer that I can just, you know, put whatever behind it to be able to create some unique terrain effects, you know, blur out this middle section here so that there's a sense of height and that the floor of the pass is far below the bridge. Much as I'd done with other maps in the past, you know, to simulate height, elevation, you know, that there's a sense of distance, that things are a little further away and less clear, a little more blurry than if they were up close and personal. But I'm liking how this is turning out. That looks like a beautifully serviceable rickety bridge. There's definitely some deck saves involved in crossing this bad boy. There's definitely some peril of ending up at the bottom of this mountain pass. I'm pretty pleased with it. So we're gonna do a quick save. And yeah, I think that's my 3 mountain pass maps. I'm gonna do a little tweaking with the terrain layer off stream, but you can see the final effects of it when this map pack goes live on my shop, which should be, depending on where I get with it tomorrow, should be sometime like mid-afternoon to evening tomorrow. Monday morning for certain. But the map that you see here, and the contributions that you all in chat have made with your various suggestions, will live on in my shop starting next week. I'm not sure what all exactly I will do with the floor, if I want to keep it with this sort of like gravelly, snowy effect down here, if I'm going to add some more rocks and such. It's going to end up blurry, so it'll just be what looks best in the final, you know, blurred part of the terrain, but that is a concern for tomorrow. Not tonight. What about an iced over river? Huh. Well, as long as I'm in here, let's experiment with that, shall we? Let's see. Do I have an ice effect on my water brush? I don't think I do, but I do have a material brush which will give me ice tiles, and I could do something like, for example, if I just kind of like come right down the middle here, create some little ice effect. Sort of like that. I can like do little sections of the ice. Coming across like that. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? There's so much that Dungeon Draft can do as a program. I'm truly impressed by it. There's actually very little tweaking that I need to do in an image editor to get the kind of maps that I want, because this program is so robust. But sometimes, you know, you do want to go in and do some little tweaks that maybe Dungeon Draft isn't quite set up to do. usually when I go in, it's either to do that blur effect for height and distance, or to maybe adjust some colors between maps. Instead of like creating essentially 3 different files with different colorings, I can just create one and adjust the coloring in an image editor to create different maps. Ooh, actually I like this because it looks like that board is just sitting on that ice. Same with that rock down there. Although maybe if I narrow that down, I can get it around that rock. Yeah. Add a broken treasure chest to entice adventurers to send a person down. Oh my goodness. That could be interesting. Let's see. Treasure chest. Treasure chest. Do I have treasure assets in my objects on here? Let's see. I do indeed. How about that? Yay to past me for remembering to put those asset packs in here. And I can actually do... There's a sort of... Where's that chest? That's kind of a broken chest. Open, and that's enough of an angle that you can kind of like maybe nestle this in with... Actually, let's zoom in a little bit. Just to kind of nestle this in with some of the rocks here, maybe, that it, you know, hit some of these rocks and split open. Something like that. And I think that will be enough distance from the larger map that if I put that in with the terrain, that'll sit just off the ledge for adventurers to want to drop down to it. Actually, what's this one? Oh, no, that's a closed one. I can also have one down here of a half-buried sword, which, if one dropped off the side of the bridge, could have embedded itself as so. Nothing quite like the enticement of a magical sword resting at the bottom of a treacherous mountain pass to entice others. Come on, drop a rope. Drop down the side. It'll be just fine. Yeah, so something like that. Just kind of like add a little extra down there. On the actual terrain map that I created, I put some things down here because, you know, treacherous bridge, sometimes folks fall off. There are half-buried skeletons in the snow at the bottom of the terrain layer that I'm making. Some bodies that did not quite make it across the bridge. But yeah. Alright, let's send back out. And we'll do another save. And I think that will bring tonight's stream to a satisfying conclusion. Here's our finished product, unobscured and set in the middle of the screen so that I can maybe get a good thumbnail off of it. For those new to the stream, unlike Twitch where clips and highlights and such will live forever on a channel, I can actually, this whole video will just like live on my channel. So if you ever need something to play in the background as you're maybe making your own maps or making homebrew or customize whatever for your TTRPGs, you can put me on in the background. Have some of this lovely copyright-free fantasy music playing alongside whatever you're making. And yeah. And once these Mountain Pass maps make it up onto my shop, then you'll be able to go back in and say, hey, I remember making the suggestion for that part of the map. As I very much appreciate all of the contributions that chat has made to creating both my Archmage Tower map from the first stream and now the bridges here. Up until now, map making has been very much a solitary endeavor on my part, so I both like the company and appreciate the suggestions. And now, with enough of my talking over this so that hopefully there's a good thumbnail that I can grab off of it, I think that's going to be the end of our stream. Yeah. So, as we bring things to a close here, just want to say I very much appreciate all of you for stopping by, contributing to the creation of my mountain pass here and the various bridges across this this gap here. Each stream, I think, will be featuring a completely new and different map that I'll be putting up on my shop. So the next time that I stream, we'll be working on something completely different. What it will be, I'm not sure yet. But if you're in the Discord, I'll usually post little teasers or something about that in the Discord. I'm glad you caught it too. Thank you all for showing up for stream, for watching me create these wonderful maps, for contributing suggestions to elevate them just that much more. Truly, it's something that I very much appreciate. All of the time that you spend in stream, all of the suggestions that you make here, and just keeping me company in my little map-making pursuit. And so, as we bring things to a close here, as I said earlier in the stream, this map will probably be finished sometime tomorrow, complete with the terrain adjustments and such. It'll probably go up, if not tomorrow night, then definitely by Monday. And then you can have this wonderful Mountain Pass map with the stone and solid wooden bridge and less solid wooden bridge all to yourself for your own games. And in addition, there's many others on the shop too, of a wide variety, indoor and outdoor maps, gridded, gridless, night and day, damaged and whole. There's quite a variety up there already, with yet more to come. And so, until next stream, thank you all for being here. I hope to see you again in future streams. Enjoy your evening, and until next time, it's me saying good night all. Mwah. Have a wonderful evening.